Peace and blessings to you all. This is a new day for you, and I am Dr. Raul Richardson. Pleased, delighted, and very excited to be joined today by a dear friend and brother and a very influential member of our community, my friend Akareem Spears. Akareem, how are you, man?
Good, how are you?
Feeling groovy, man. Thanks so much for being here with us on Inspire You on Air, the new Beat of the Bay. So tell our loyal listeners about all the remarkable things that Akareem Spears has going on and what's going on in the world that they need to know about.
I think there's a lot. I appreciate the invitation to be here. I think there's a lot going on in my world. As you are well aware of, I've been in the adult education program at Bishop State for a little over 18 years, almost 19 years. And I recently, in the past few months, have transitioned to the interim dean of workforce. And I get to see non-credit training here at the college from a whole different perspective. Typically, I would work with those students who were either underemployed or did not have a high school diploma and were looking to obtain some entry-level skills. Addition to that, workforce development has just elevated that to additional non-credit program offerings, as well as opportunities to go straight into a higher level of employment because of the credentials that a student has. So for me, I'm really passionate about our community and giving our students opportunities to be successful. And oftentimes, we have to take advantage of these opportunities that are here. We have programs in CNA, medication assistant, phlebotomy, CDL, and just for friends like you, these programs are at no cost. So we don't say free because there is some effort that has to go behind it for someone, but the student doesn't have to pay anything. We pay for drug screening, we pay for uniforms, motor vehicle tests for motor vehicle reports for the CDL. So if you're interested, in Mobile and doing something to better your career or to better your life, Bishop State is a great place for that. There are programs we have through ALDOT that are what we call Earn While You Learn programs. We have a heavy highway construction program where you go for 25 weeks and you get work 2 days, or you go to class 2 days and you work for 3 days, but you get paid for an entire week of work. So that's a program we offer. We just started a ALDOT carpentry program where you can learn carpentry skills within 13 weeks, and again, no cost. We pay for everything. And also, one of the programs that are really connected to this area is we have ship fitting and marine electrical. And as you know, Ingalls and Ulster, they hire ship fitters and marine electricians, and we want to prepare you for those particular jobs that are in those particular companies. Because for me, we are known here in this area for shipbuilding. The history of Mobile is based on shipbuilding, and a ship fitter is a really good trade to have, and marine electrician is a really good trade to have. And it gives students opportunities. But I will say this, and we talk about this all the time, the biggest thing about any of these opportunities, if you have to be clean, you have to be drug-free. If you're not drug-free, these companies will not hire you. They will not take a chance on you if you can't pass the drug screen. That's one of the biggest obstacles we have, is having our students be able to pass that drug screen.
Well, that's tremendous stuff. And, historically, Bishop State has provided tremendous opportunities. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had Ms. Ruth Ballard, an Africatown resident, on, and she talked about how highly valued in the community the nursing program was that she went through, and how in a segregated South here in Mobile, Alabama, some of the students that were Caucasian chose to come to Bishop State because they had a 100% pass rate. And while they may not have been able to service the same patients in the hospital, that provided a career path for many, many, many people in our community to come to a quality education at Bishop State, secure their nursing credentials, and then go back and help in the treatment of patients throughout the area. So you're legendary when it comes to that. Absolutely legendary. And I'm grateful for your presence in the program and the opportunities that afford people in the community to be able to take advantage of.
Well, and like I said, we've been friends and colleagues, I guess, for several years. And the one thing I can say, for me personally, is that my goal is to, to help people. I don't, we don't see obstacles. I don't see obstacles. I want to help you. We want to make everything we can, do everything we can possible to allow you to advance your career. Now, in some cases, some people just not ready to do that. But, anybody who is willing and willing to put forth the effort, we will try to assist you in doing that. And, I'm not an old guy, I don't think. I just made 50, but I will tell you, I don't remember having these opportunities when I was coming up, and especially at no cost. So I think, for this community, with all the crime and all the things that are pervasive in this community, these are things that prevent that. And no one says that you have to be a welder your entire life. But what that does is it gives you on a career path that maybe I want to go into mechanical engineering, or maybe I want to go into electrical engineering. But a welder is just where you get you kind of saw your teeth and see what it is that you want to do.
Sure.
Nobody can tell you, or 30 years, 40 years ago, I can't even remember now, when I was a busboy at Shoney's, nobody can tell you that, because they see a guy with a blazer on and a button-down shirt. They say, well, he's never done any hard work. Yes, I have. I worked in the restaurant industry, and back in those days, Shoney's was the biggest buffet in Mobile for breakfast. And I was a busboy, dishwasher, mop floors. But you find out that, hey, this is not what I want to do for a long-term career. And I say, let's pursue something else. So that's what these programs are designed for. They're called entry-level positions for a reason, because it's really just to get you started on a career pathway and kind of show you where you can go if you choose to pursue that route. We have healthcare, we have, logistics, all these things that are in demand, shipbuilding that are in demand in this area. And I can tell you, and being in this role as interim dean of workforce, employers are coming to us. What can we do to get people? So if, in this environment, if you want to work, you can work. Now, if you don't want to work, then you don't work. But if you want to work, if you want to get training, it's available, and it's at no cost for you to get that training. So, for me, I think it's big for, especially in inner city communities and communities of, typically disadvantaged communities. It's a great opportunity to try to get some opportunities that will build wealth and their life-sustaining wages. These aren't your minimum wage jobs. These are starting off $15, $16 an hour, going up to $19, $26 an hour. So, but you have to put in some work. Now, I will say that you have to put in some work and be able, like I said earlier, to pass that drug screen. But, don't be limited by, where you think you are, because, everybody had to start somewhere. So, for me, I think it's huge opportunities that, Bishop State, the Mobile community, in Alabama and the country at large, that, if we can get some of this potential, into action, then I think, that
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And for those of you just joining us, you're listening to Dr. Raul Richardson on A New Day for You, and we're chatting it up with Akareem Spears at Bishop State, the interim dean of workforce development. And why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the things that, in terms of those connections that you're making with local area businesses, because I understand how this all operates, but for our listeners, they may not, that you actually have to identify what the needs are of some of the large industry organizations that are available on the Gulf Coast. And then they kind of tell you what it is they need from their students and ultimately their workers. And the amazing part that I think is really important for people to hear is not just your level of commitment and passion to the program, but the opportunity that's presented in terms of entry-level positions that traditionally can go on to be much more significant. I mean, of course, you shared your own personal story at Shoney's, but someone can start off as a welder and then become a shop foreman and then become a crew leader and things of that sort. Not to mention some of the things that you've just recently done that we've intersected on as it relates to the contractors college and things of that sort. So if you'd be so kind, just kind of share some of the current going-ons that you see, and then maybe tag us into what the future looks like, because it apparently looks very bright here on the Gulf Coast under your leadership at Bishop State Community College.
Well, I would say I appreciate that, but again, I'm just a small portion of this. But I think you kind of said it best. What we do is um, industry comes to us and says, "Hey, we need this," or "There's a need in this community for this," and it may be, for example, maybe line work. We'll just use the Alabama Power Line Worker Program. It may be um, we need these linemen, so where are we going to get these from? So we want to try to get um, those students that are going to be successful in that line worker program. Now, when the company comes to us, they say, well, I need, you know, 40 linemen. So we start developing our courses, start going up through the training, the safety, the physical agility. We do an academic assessment. And then at the end of that, we produce a product for them that they can say, hey, this person is ready to be a lineman. Who wants to take him? So, we get folks, companies like Alabama Power, some of the utility companies around here. And what they do is these folks make an average of $63,000 a year. As a 19-year-old, they can make an average of $63,000 a year. And if you think about in this community how much it rains, how many hurricanes we have, things like that, the overtime they can make
Wow.
$100,000 per year as a 19-year-old. And I can tell you firsthand, I had one of our recent graduates of the lineman program, his line worker program, he graduated with my son who's 18. So now I'm paying tuition, and this guy is now earning more than earning as much as I'm paying in tuition
Wow.
because and he's the same age as my son. So when you look at that, you can make a good living in the industry. That's one of the things that we in this community don't always value as much as I think we should, is that technical education, skills, trades are valuable. Everybody doesn't necessarily want to go to a 4-year college. Everybody necessarily doesn't want to get a 2-year degree. But the key in this area and in the trades area is certification, certification, certification.
Absolutely. Those
Certification.
credentials are critically important. I tell
Yes.
you, and given everything we've experienced the last 2 years with COVID, uh, I know personally about several people that went into your commercial driving component in terms of becoming truck drivers. And now, of course, we're on a port city, we got rails, we got waterfront, but those truck drivers are critical towards moving around on the various infrastructure that are available to deliver products, goods, and services all across the country. So, and you know what's amazing about this? These opportunities, these credentials are available to people in our community, and there's no distinction between man and woman. You have the interest, the desire, and the drive, you can take advantage of the opportunity and make all that cheese.
And we are even, and I'll talk a little bit about it. We have a program called Girls Learning About Advanced, or Learning About Manufacturers, called GLAM. And we recently had our first GLAM session about 2 weeks ago. And in that GLAM session, we talked about the statistics of women working in manufacturing and how much opportunities there are for women working in manufacturing, and particularly African American women working in manufacturing. But we have to realize that starts with, becoming interested in technical skills such as welding, uh, things such as instrumentation, civil engineering. Those are kind of things that we typically don't think that females can or would exceed in or do well in, but we have to change our expectations of what's out there. Nursing for men, people think that men can't be nurses. We had a couple folks come in, male men come through our CNA program. So don't be limited by what other people think. There's opportunities in whatever sector that you want to go into. And I can tell you, Mobile, they wouldn't invest in an 80,000 square foot, $18 million building for no reason. They didn't
Amen.
build our new advanced manufacturing center here at Bishop if there wasn't a need in this community. So as we move forward in Mobile, you will see this becoming the hub of manufacturing in this area. And I think you'll find out that it gives a great opportunity for folks in our community to take advantage of it, make really, really good wages. Because these folks will be working at your chemical companies, be working at your manufacturing companies, shipbuilding, all these high-paying, high-wage, high-demand jobs. And we don't want to miss out on that. I don't think we should miss out.
I'm glad you shared that because I'm not certain if you were aware of this, but Inspire You on Air, the new Beat of the Bay, was actually founded and brought into existence by two Black women right here locally, Candace Houston and her daughter Amberly. And there can't be any diminishing of the value and the contributions that women can make in any sphere or arena that they're interested in making it. And we're certainly grateful for Bishop State and for you providing those types of opportunities. We're just about ready to kind of kick it back to some of the music. But before we do that, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share some of the things or some of the vision that you have going forward. I understand you may have the interim tag on you right now, but given the level of success I've seen you have with the workforce development and the Contractors College and meeting the need of industry executives all across the Gulf Coast, I'm certainly prophesying into existence the fact that you're going to continue to succeed and bless our community with these great and wonderful opportunities. So tell us about what the future looks like for Akareem Spears and Bishop State Community College and workforce development and all the things that we are experiencing now.
Well, the future, I would say, looks extremely bright. Now, for me personally, I hope this becomes a permanent role, and I can kind of set my strategic plan and my vision for the department. But I will tell you, the key for me and for Bishop State is to develop a workforce system where when you need a job or you need employees, that I'm the conduit to make that happen. If you need, training, I'm the person that makes that happen. I want to be that resource for the community, where it comes from industry or from the employee side, because who knows where the jobs are? Well, Akareem knows where the jobs are. Bishop State knows where the jobs are. Well, who knows where I can get skilled workers? Well, Akareem knows where I can get skilled workers. So I just kind of want to be that person that makes that actually happen, because it sounds real simple, but there's a lot of coordination and things that have to happen, because believe it or not, everybody is not a good fit for every organization, and it takes a little more investment into determining what it is that you want to do, because I can put you a square peg in a round hole, but it's not going to work out. So we need to make sure we identify what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what do you really want to do with your career, and then start moving in that direction. Typically, we go with I want a job, I want a better opportunity, and not looking past the 6 month to a year mark. We need to start thinking in terms of 5 years. What do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? And then you start planning that way, because again, when I was at Shoney's, I didn't want to do this in the next 5 years. So what was my next step? Well, you need to go to college and you need to get a degree and find out what you really want to do, because but if I had a thought for the next 6 months, I'm going to make this money, then I would have continued to do that, because I was basing it on that immediate gratification. But we need to start thinking in terms of career and not job, because I think there's definitely some valuable careers in this community that you can be wealthy and have a life sustaining wage, not just exist, but you can sustain life, have some freedom, have some extra money to do some things for your family and your community. And I think Bishop State and myself personally, just we want to be a part of that. We want to me, the biggest highlight for my career is when during our adult education GED graduations, when I would see folks that I saw at 15 and 16 or 17 coming to my program, didn't get a GED. For some reason, life happened. They dropped out, came back at about 24, 25, and they clicked in, and they got their GED, and they walked across that stage. I wouldn't change that feeling for anything, because what that showed me is that life beat me up. I had some changes, some challenges here, but if I stick with it, then I can be successful. And then they go on to get college degrees. My job is the easy part. Once the motivation is there, then the rest is history. I just have to motivate them and try to encourage them until they can see it for themselves. And once they see it for themselves, then they're good to go. And I hope I can continue to do that, not only for Bishop State, but for the community. Whatever I can do to help anyone to see their dreams come to fruition, I want to do that.
And I tell you, I'm so grateful for your presence here. For those of you just tuning in, we're chatting with my dear friend Akareem Spears. Dean of Workforce Development at Bishop State. And, you know, our intersectionality begins there because, as you remember, probably early on, many years ago, I was working with what were otherwise characterized as at-risk, neglected, and delinquent youth coming out of Strickland and the juvenile court system. And, you know, you and I kind of intersected many times on trying to find mechanisms by which we can encourage folks to make those changes that were necessary in their lives to be successful. And certainly that was a blessing. And it's always great when I run into those young men or young women in the street, and now I see them 10 years later and they're adults with families and with a work history, and something has turned around. And you know what, I've often have recognized that I could not take all the kudos for that, because I may have only tilled the soil and you may have planted the seed, but the most important thing is the community benefited. And I like one of the other words that you used was this context relative to potential. You know, folks cannot perhaps be able to visualize just what they're capable of until they meet an Akareem Spears or realize the value of a program that's offered at a Bishop State. And that's such a wonderful thing. And just recently, of course, we've had conversations with one of our colleagues, Arshanique's kid, you know, who's obviously the supply diversity manager for the city of Mobile. And you guys have developed a partnership, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So now, shout out as we close this up to all our loyal listeners. How do they get in touch with Akareem Spears, your programs? What's the contact elements, telephone numbers, website? Because you know there are people that are listening and thinking, how do I get some more of this?
Yeah, well, it's very simple. You can go to find me at www.bishop.edu under Workforce Development. You can see a list of all of our programs. You can give me a call personally on my office phone, 251-662-5368. And if you want to email me personally as well, you can give me an email at aspears@bishop.edu. But please check us out on our Facebook page. We have a Workforce Development Facebook page as well, Workforce Development at Bishop State. And you can kind of see some of the things that we're doing, some of the highlights. And also, I'll put in a plug for this. I'm not directly over adult ed day to day, but we also have some great programming through adult education with our GED and high school diploma programs. Again, that's for those students who did not finish high school. We can help you get prepared for that, and then also get you some entry-level certifications to help you get some of those get your foot in the door in some of those high-paying jobs.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Akareem Spears, Interim Dean of Workforce Development at Bishop State Community College, my friend and brother, doing some great things in the community, providing people opportunities to maximize their potential and provide a real path forward for community and their families. Thank you, Akareem. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you dare move. We'll be right back.